morning, sir.
Hello, good morning. For a while, inaayos ko yung PowerPoint. Please confirm if it's already on share screen mode. Can you see my screen blank or not?
Yes, nakikita namin, sir.
Okay. The course title is Science, Technology, and Society. Nakikita ninyo? I-confirm daw, please.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, good. So let's begin. The time for our class is 10:30 to 11:30. Unfortunately, it's already 10:45 in my watch. So, next time on Friday, before 10:30, about mga 10:20, I am going to share to you the link. Actually, for today, it's my fault because we have to wait for the internet connection. But exactly 10:20 or 10:25, you will already receive the link. And then the course code for this subject is GA117. So I will introduce myself to you. I am Michael Cabiles, Assistant Professor 2. I have Masters in Chemistry, Masters of Alternative Learning System, and a candidate for doctorate, and also a faculty of College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences. The lesson for this morning is about the historical antecedents of science, technology, and society. By the way, as an introduction for our lesson, why is it it's very broad? There are three components. We have to discuss about what is science and what is its relationship to technology and also society. It's actually a very broad subject, and what I can offer to you for the entire semester will be only a bird's eye view of the content itself. As you go along with our course outline, later on I am going to give it to you. Or if you want to have an access to the syllabus, please visit our Google class. If you were able to register in our Google class, if you're already a member there, I have posted all our lessons from lesson 1 to lesson 2 and even the course syllabus. Look for it because I have posted it already, and then browse the entire course outline. The first topic there is about historical antecedents right after the mission, vision, and orientation. So, take note sa mga newcomers, I have already skipped the orientation because it was already presented by my wife. And also mission and vision, let's skip that part. Your role na lang is to read the mission vision in the manual. I will post also the entire mission vision of the college para pwede nyong basahin. Hindi ko na i-discuss because redundant na. Redundant means it was discussed in all subjects. You have 7 subjects, I think 7 times uulitin nila yon sa first part. So, hindi ko na itatakil yun. My role here is to give you the content itself. And I want to congratulate all of you for joining the online class instead of module. Because you will not learn, I tell you, you will not learn parang substantial ba ang learning makuha ninyo sa module? Parang meron man pero you will not really learn at all compared to online class. You will be forced to listen. You will be forced to participate every hour of our engagement. So, unlike module, comparison ha, sa last part na nila yan basahin, yung malapit na ang submission. They, papasala lang sila, then they will not learn anything. Wala talaga. So, congratulations sa mga nag-register for online session. I-skip ko muna. Marami pa lang gustong magpa-admit. Sandali ha. Ilan to? So, 12. Lahat. Okay, let's start. Our topic, our first topic is the Maya civilization. Okay? If you were able to watch the movie Apocalypto, it presented there a very ancient civilization in Latin America. That's the modern day Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras. Yan, yung buong South America. May thriving civilization dyan which was isolated from the rest of the world. This portion of the world was later lang na-discover. That this was discovered by Amerigo Vespucci. He wrote a book about the lost continent or uncharted region called the Americas. So sa kanya pinangalan itong lugar na to. Ang kanyang pangalan pala is Amerigo Vespucci. Italian yan siya. So from his first name, Amerigo, dyan ipinangalan yung buong American continent. So dito, makikita ang mga tatlong giant civilization na weird. When I say weird, it's because they have some practices na hindi ginawa sa ibang lugar kasi they are so isolated and ang barrier nila ay ang dagat. From the east, you have here the Atlantic Ocean. And then if you go along Atlantic Ocean, nandyan ang Europe. So in Europe, dito banda, there was a belief that if you sail further, you will fall at the edge of the world. Kasi long time ago, akala nila ang mundo ay flat. So natatakot lahat ng mga Europeans na umalis sa Europe. Kasi may fear sila na lamunin sila ng edge. Edge means dulo ng mundo. Just try to imagine a plate, plato. Ganyan ang visualization ng mga tao noon, especially the Europeans, about what the world looks like. So, hindi nawalan sila ng chance to discover this area. So, about 16th century, we have Amerigo Vespucci who wrote a book about this continent, and you have Christopher Columbus, isa yun siyang explorer. Siya yung pinakaunang nakaset foot na European dito. Recorded lang. The first recorded European to set foot on the American island. So yan yung story nito. But before Christopher Columbus, in this area, it was dominated by ancient civilization. So the first civilization na pag-usapan natin is the Maya civilization. What are their achievement in science and what type of society they have? Okay, medyo mataas ito. Don't worry, this video is recorded and I will upload this one on YouTube. So if in case absent kayo today or you've missed something from the discussion, you can visit the YouTube channel whom I've asked you to subscribe last time. So, ma-recall ninyo doon ulit yung buong discussion. Okay? That's the advantage of online session. And I also encourage mga nag-module to subscribe in our YouTube channel so that kahit na may module sila, still makakapanood pa rin sila nito. Anytime, anywhere, as long as may internet. So, the Maya live in the Yucatan Peninsula, dito banda. This is the Yucatan Peninsula dito sa loob ng square. It is comprised of the modern-day Guatemala, Honduras, Belize, and El Salvador. So, it's spread out over 125,000 square miles and it's composed of highlands and lowlands. So, bulubundukin at kapatagan dito banda. Diyan sila nabuo ang civilization nila with mountains and valleys. Now, ancient ruins of Mayan civilization, if you will observe, it's very, very complicated. When I say complicated, it's complex. They have an advanced form of architecture. Alam nyo ba, isang buong bato lang ito na malaki, and then they carve it to form like that? Because in our architecture, we make use of millions of pieces of stones or thousands of pieces of stones connected all together, but in their architecture, isang giant yan na boulder, and then ikakarve nila, mabubuo yan. Isipin nyo na lang what type of technology they are using to form a one slab of stone and then makakagawa ng ganitong klaseng temple. So amazing, no? So archaeologists think the Maya began working the land as early as 1800 BC, before Christ. So that's 1,800 years before Christ. Very old. So they built a small farming village, and then by 200 AD, some of these villages grew into cities. So from small villages, nagkaroon sila ng alliance, then naging city. Warriors fought over the land and power, and no ruler united the entire Mayan kingdom. Mayan cities were built around religious centers, and some cities had great palaces. So this is one of the example of the Mayan temple. This is what they call a pyramid. Meron din silang sariling pyramid. If you watch, as what I've said a while ago, the Apocalypto movie, kung maalala ninyo yun, the priests and the king, dito sila banda sa taas, and then they are calling for their God. Dali, na-aksidente, napisil ko. Mas gusto nila mag-build ng mga high structure so that they will be more closer to God. Who is their God? Yan yung the Sun God. Para sa kanila kasi yung sun, yung nakikita ninyo ngayon sa labas, sobrang init, yan yung Diyos. So, pinipilit nilang gumawa ng mga tall structure so that they will be more close and their appeal will be heard by God. So, pag pinapunish sila ng Diyos sa piling nila, for example, merong drought. Drought means, ano ba yung drought? Yung tag-init. Ilang buwan na walang ulan. So, dito sila gumagawa ng seremonyas. And, ang masakit dyan, they are using human sacrifice. So, pumapatay sila ng captives, mga tao, para yung dugo i-offer sa sun god. Yan, medyo weird. Mayan cities were built around religious centers. Some cities had great palaces. The Maya built flat-top pyramids made of limestone. At the top of these pyramids were temples. That was where the Mayan priests, kings held religious rituals. Okay, ito na yun. So, the entire economy of the Mayan civilization is based on agriculture, pagtatanim. So, the Mayan cities grew, farmers needed to produce more food, and they found ways to farm places they had not farmed before. So, they farmed the sides of hills called terraces. In the Philippines, we have here a UNESCO World Heritage na yan. They consider it as wonder of the world. Yung Hagdan-Hagdang Palayan. In English, rice terraces. The Mayans, long time ago, they have also their own version. Pero hindi rice ang itinatanim nila doon. They use corn. Kasi corn is much more high in carbohydrates than yung ancient form ng bigas. Wala pa sigurong bigas sa time nila. They built raised fields in the wet lowlands, and then they burned trees and plants in forests to clear the land for farming. In the Philippines, we are using kaingin farming. Kaingin means you will burn the wild plants doon sa lugar na yan so that you can replace it with crops. Crops are useful to man, unlike yung mga wild na mga bushes, hindi. Excuse me. So they move good soil to areas that had poor soil. So this is an ancient method of fertilizer. 'Di ba? Good soil is composed of different materials, mga waste products. So marunong din sila gumamit ng fertilizer. Galing ng mga Mayan. And then they dug water system. So they know already irrigation. Take note that these people are isolated from the technology that was developed from the other side of the world. They did not borrow from China. They did not borrow from the Middle East, from the Greeks. Wala. Kasi totally isolated sila. Isolated means they're on their own. Sila lang nakatuklas nito on their own. Walang nagturo sa kanila. So, meron na silang idea about how to fertilize. They have idea about kaingin. They have idea how to make rice terraces or corn terraces. And they have also this idea of irrigation. Ikinokontrol nila yung tubig. So this is what I'm talking about. This is the rice or the terraces na ginawa nila. Pero hindi rice ang nakatanim dyan, unlike ours. And then, at the top of this mountain, itong terraces na to, they built their towns. Ganyan. That's why the Mayans are good parang climbers. Kasi ang kanilang cities nasa tuktok talaga ng bundok. Para mas malapit sila sa kanilang agriculture, sa kanilang mga tinatanim. By using the techniques I've mentioned a while ago, they grew corn, beans, and squash, and they traded their extra food between the highland and lowland people and with people in Central America and Mexico. In return, they received goods that they couldn't produce themselves, such as jade, feathers, and cacao beans. Itong jade is considered as sacred stone for them. Today, we are using it as jewelries, but before, sa tabi ng dagat, hinahanap nila itong jade para i-carve at gawing idols. Idols are religious artifacts or religious items whom ginagamit nila for worshiping. So, importante ang jade sa kanila. Now, cacao beans held great value because cacao beans is used as money. If today we are using coins or paper money, before, ang pinapambayad nila sa gusto nila is cacao beans. Okay? Kung alam ko lang, nagtanim ako ng sobrang daming cacao. Kasi yun lang pala ang pangbayad. If you want gold, they will accept cacao beans. In return, magpalitan kayo ng gold. Now, obsidian, if you know what's an obsidian, it's a glass-like volcanic rock and it was also traded and used as money. I hope I have picture here of what an obsidian looks like. Kasi isa din yun sa ginagamit nilang pang barter or a mode of currency. Okay. Meron akong picture ng cocoa. In our native tongue, we call it cacao. Binaliktad lang natin ang word cocoa, naging cacao. So, they extracted the beans, ayan ito, and they are using it as their currency. Now, ito naman yung obsidian, binanggit ko kanina, a volcanic rock. They are also using it as money, and pag na-receive nila, they carve it para ginagamit nilang knife. Trivia, sa mga Mayans, hindi pa nila na-discover ang bakal or metal. So, ginagamit nila crystals pang putol ng ano-anong bagay or pang chop or pang luto. And feathers also is important to them for their attire, especially sa ceremony. They are wearing this. Now, this is what a typical Mayan priest's king look like. Yan. Mukhang Christmas tree. Ang dami ng abubot sa katawan. They look weird, but I tell you, they look like that because that's their own way and they were isolated for a very long time. So sa kanila yan. Polytheism, ang kanilang religion. Polytheism means from the word poly, meaning marami. They have so many gods. Meron silang sun god, moon god, forest god, water god, river god, agriculture god, and so on. So, the Maya worship many gods. They thought that their rulers could influence the gods. So, for them, their kings are the mediators between men and God. So, they have to respect their rulers because they think that these are the sons and daughters of the gods. So, kahit anong sabihin ng king, yun yung batas sa lugar na yun. Kasi akala nila, Diyos yung mga rulers nila. So, one Mayan ruler was named Pascal or Pakal. He ruled Maya for 68 years. Like other Maya ruler, he was a priest as well as a warrior. Priest kings like Pakal killed animals and sometimes people to offer to the gods or as offerings to the gods. The city of Palenque, they built a temple that was used to record his achievement. So, they have their form of writing and that was carved doon sa mga walls at makikita mo yung mga nagawa ni Pakal or Pascal. The Maya wanted to keep gods happy and prevent disaster. That's why they offer animals. If wala ng animals, yung mga captives nila, mga slaves, pinapatay nila yon at yung dugo, ino-offer sa Diyos, pinapatulo dito sa pyramid. Masyadong brutal, but wala tayong magawa because that's their custom, that's their way of living. Remember, they were isolated for a very long time. So they believed that the gods needed blood. Yun yung food ng mga Diyos, dugo. So priest kings like Pascal killed animals and sometimes people. So this is a depiction of that ancient ritual. If you can see, this is the priest's king and then hinihiwa nila yung uh, chan para dukutin yung puso. And then yung puso naman ino-offer sa mga gods. So itong nasa taas is a representation of their god. They have already an idea what a dragon looks like. Okay? And ito yung mga assistant, mga audience. So, kawawa talaga sino yung victim nila because of their ignorance. And later on, this sacrifice will also destroy their entire civilization. I'll tell you why later on. Bakit nasira ang civilization nila because of this human sacrifice? Now, let's go now to the achievements of the Mayans. So, anong mga nagawa nila sa science? So, first is they have their hieroglyphs. They have writing system. Each picture stood for an object or a sound. So, some hieroglyphs stood for a whole idea. such as life or happiness. So what I presented a while ago, this picture, is an example of a hieroglyph. They do not know how to write sentences, but they depict it into one drawing. So ang dami kong pwedeng sabihin sa isang drawing lang. 'Di ba kanina sinabi ko may sacrifice, nanonood ang God. O 'di ba? So you can make a story out of one hieroglyph. So that's how the way they express ideas. Hieroglyphs were carved on the stone columns and record books called codex. So take note, they have their record book and they call it codex. So this is an example of a hieroglyph writing. Yan, nakadrawing siya and it is supplemented by numericals. Okay, and some details. This book, nakikita nyo ito? This is an example of a codex. Colored pa. So masyado silang advanced. And this is also a carved illustration of hieroglyph carved on the walls. Yan. Another contribution sa astronomy, they knew the exact moon phases. It means they can predict eclipses, they can predict when will be the full moon, new moon, and walang moon at all. Anong tawag doon? New moon yata pa rin. So, first quarter and second quarter, alam nila yan lahat. Waning gibbous and so on. Because they were able to create a chart about the behavior of the celestial bodies. Okay? So, they were able to predict sun and moon eclipses. So, solar, lunar, kaya nilang ma-predict. They created very precise calendar. That's 365-day calendar. Because they need it kasi agriculture-based sila. Yan yung kanilang rhythm kung kailan sila mag-harvest sa kanilang corn or crops. So, how many days do we have right now in modern calendar, Gregorian calendar? Excuse me. 365 days. Later na nagawa ang Gregorian calendar, but this is a 1,000-year-old system. Alam na nila na the entire revolution of planet Earth from the sun is equivalent to 365 days. A one day is one sunrise and sunset. So binilang nila yun. And napansin nila, it's exactly 365 sunrise and sunset. Okay? They also had 120-day calendar for religious events. So, ang ganda nito, if you have like this is the Mayan calendar. And ginamit pa to ng mga writers ng book na it can predict the end of the world. Kung naalala nyo yung mga movie noon na 2012 End of the World, kinabahan ang lahat kasi based daw dito, magugunaw na daw ang mundo. But that was a hoax. Kasi they are promoting a movie. Kumalat sila ng chismis para lahat ng tao aware and then nagpalabas sila ng movie. So magandang marketing strategy yon. Gumamit sila ng hoax. Hoax means lies or deception. Even Muhammad, the prophet of Islam, sabi niya gumawa daw siya ng miracle. Nahati niya daw ang moon. But it's not a miracle in fact because the Mayans can predict yung paghati ng moon. That's called eclipse. So, maraming na-convince doon, but sa mga Mayan, no. Hindi yan siya milagro. Instead, it's a scientific phenomenon that can be predicted. Predictable masyado. So, cradles of early science. So, you have here developments in Mesoamerica. Let's have a summary. The Maya civilization is a famous civilization that lasted for 2,000 years. Naubos sila lahat. Alam nyo bakit? Hanggang 2,000 years lang ang civilization nila. Because some of them abandoned their ancient cities kasi naubos ang clean water. Alam nyo bakit? Naalala nyo yung mga human sacrifice? Yung mga cadaver means yung mga corpse mga katawan nun, tinatapon nila sa river, saan sila umiinom. Sa mga lakes, saan sila umiinom. Doon nila tinatapon yung patay. So, napollute yung buong lugar. Kasi nga, katangahan na rin nila. Doon nila tinatapon. Hindi kasi sila naglilibing sa lupa. Instead, tinatapon nila sa tubig. So, naubos sila. Nagkasakit ang iba, tinatawag na cholera. Wala silang gamot for that. So, some of them, they abandoned their cities, they transferred to other places until the civilization was destroyed. No matter how smart they are, but medyo silly din sila somehow. So they are known for their knowledge of predicting eclipse and using astrological cycles. They are also known for measuring time using complicated calendar system. And then they develop technology for growing different crops and building elaborate cities. So that's the Mayan civilization. Let's proceed to the next. Skip ko na yan. So, the Mayans pala, sorry, may kadugtong. They have a number system were the first to use the symbol zero. Because the Europeans, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they only have the counting numbers. They do not have an idea what zero is. So, the Mayans, they are since they're so advanced, they've used zero para makumpleto ang number 20. Because zero is nothingness, empty. So they have a value for emptiness. Without zero, you will not have 20, 10, 30, 100. So if you have 2, you plus emptiness, so that's equivalent to 20. Diba? So this is an example of how the way they write. So ang kanilang 1 is depicted by 1 dot. Ang kanilang 0 naman is depicted by parang it looks like a donut or parang football. Bola ng football. That's 0. So ang 1 nila 1 dot, 2 is 2 dot, 3 is 3 dots, 4, 4 dots, and then for 5, flat na lang. And then for 6 is 5 and 1. So that's 6. For 7 is 5 and 2. And so on and so forth. So that's how the way you read Mayan writing system. That's their numerical system. So they have also their recreation. This is the ancient sport. Ipapasok nila ang bola dyan and then panalo. Ang masakit sa sport na to, the whole team na matalo, kasi parang basketball yan, padamihan ng mapasok na bola dito sa hole na yan. Kasi sacred yung butas. Ang buong team na matalo, papatayin that day. Kaya lahat ng players kinakabahan. Dapat mag-practice talaga, mag-exercise and i-master yung game. Or else, losing is not a good option because you will die the very day itself. The winners, of course, they will be attributed with good rewards. So, ang sakit maging Mayan kapag player ka sa game na to, walang matira sa inyo. So the collapse of the Mayan civilization is one of the great mysteries, but I have given you one of the reasons. So by 900 CE, the Maya had abandoned their cities to the jungle. Lumipat sila sa gubat. So ano yung causes? Population of cities grew too fast for the farming system. Dumami ang tao, nawala ang mga farms. It's slowly happening to our cities right now. In Zamboanga City, ang mga palayan ginagawa ng subdivision. Baka matulad tayo sa mga Maya. Nawalan sila ng source ng pagkain kasi naging housing na lahat. And then, long periods of drought. It means their crops failed to grow, so it causes famine. Famine means rampant hunger. For a long time, merong starvation. And then warfare. Wars were very bloody, hand-to-hand fighting with clubs and spears. And then they were invaded also by people from central Mexico. So nawala ang kanilang magandang civilization. For their architecture, oy, so sorry kasi napunta sa Incas tong slide ko. Let's proceed to the second group of people in South America. These are the Incas. Are you still there, please? Baka nagsasalita ako dito, walang tao. Mary, Roxy, Angela, Lumibaw.
Sir, naka-on po yung cam.
Okay, good. Hindi ko nakikita kasi nag-share screen ako. Minomonitor ko lang if you are still there. Have you heard, Mary, about the civilization called Inca?
Wala pa po, sir.
Hindi siya na-discuss during your high school time?
No, sir.
Ala, what
Wala
the?
pa po.
Talaga? How about Mayans? Narinig mo na? Mayan.
Yes po, sir.
Okay, good. Pero the Incas, wala. Now, Incas are very popular because of their incredible and magnificent architecture. Actually, this is called the Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu ay city na nilagay sa pinakatuktok ng bundok, and I do not know paano nila yon nagawa. Up to this time, modern engineers are baffled. They are puzzled and baffled of how the stones were brought here at the top. Alam nyo ba ang mga Incas, they do not have the concept of wheels. Gulong, rueda. Wala silang idea paano gumawa ng gulong. So binubuhat nila isa-isa itong mga bato na ito. And the structure is so precise. I have watched a documentary about Machu Picchu. Kahit hangin, hindi makalusot sa pagitan ng dalawang bato. Sa sobrang exact ng pagka-measure. So that's how great the Inca. Inca is different from Maya na diniscuss ko a while ago. Machu Picchu, also known as the Forgotten City. So what are the contributions of the Incas? They are similar to the Mayans. They have also their calendar, almost similar. Anyway, magkapitbahay lang kasi yan sila. Each calendar month hosted a different religious festival. The Incan calendar was divided into 12 months. Imagine, our 1 year is equivalent also to 12 months. Is it a coincidence or we copied the modern calendar from their calendar? Tandaan ninyo, ang gumawa ng calendar na gamit natin ngayon are the popes or the Catholic Church. Kaya tinawag siyang Gregorian calendar. So baka dito kinopya. So each month was divided into 3 weeks. So not so precise because ours, in 1 month, we have 4 weeks. Tapos each week had 10 days. In our case, how many days? 7 days in 1 week. So medyo may pagka-weird sa kanila, no? So what are the contributions of the Incas? So their musical instrument, may version na sila ng flute. I do not know anong tawag to, clarinet. And then this one is made of skin, ang kanilang drums. They invented many wind and percussion instrument, and drums and flutes were very popular. So the civilization are music lovers. These people loves music. So the panpipe was the most popular, this one. Another contribution, they have this system of measurement called kipos. So, this one. This is how they mark dates. This is how they mark measurements. Ito ang tinatawag na kipos. Parang if ilang binayad mo, yun din ang daming tali gagawin nila dyan. Kasi nakaka-record ito ng memory. Ilang tali. Meaning you have to tie how many knots that's equivalent to one number. Para siyang abacus nila. I do not know how to use it actually, but parang ganun na rin. Now, using a base of 10, the quipus had a main string about 2 feet long. And then the quipus allowed messages to be carried by the Inca runners from one end of the empire to the other. So that you will not forget, dito mo i-record, buhol-buhol mo ito, tapos pwede mong ilipat from one place to place. Okay? Important success of the Incan Empire, you have communication. So they were able to make roads and runners are messengers. Gumawa na sila ng kalsada. Professions of Incans, they have engineers, metal workers, and masons, and other artisans. They also implemented tax. They don't pay. Instead, for 1 month, you have to serve 1 week. Parang ganun. We call it service tax. Nowadays, we pay to the government. From our salary, magbabayad ka. There's a certain computation. But for them, in 1 month, sa isang buwan, magsiserve ka sa gobyerno. So, huge free labor force. Kaya nakakagawa sila ng temples. Now, how about their technology? So, they also have terrace farming, surplus crops, and irrigation system. Same with the Mayans. And they have strong central government. All powerful Inca, they have strict laws and they have basic needs satisfied. So, ang ganda ng kanilang gobyerno, lahat ng tao takot. The Incans are very popular in Mesoamerica. So these are the following achievements. I'll skip this part because I was able to discuss all of it a while ago lang. Itong paved stones, 12 months. Okay? The third civilization, ladies and gentlemen, are the Aztecs. A while ago, na-discuss ko yung Maya and Inca. The third are the Aztecs. Aztecs are much more sophisticated than the two I have mentioned a while ago. Okay? Look at their cities, parang Atlantis. Sobrang organized and itong city na to, it's called Tenochtitlan. A group of people first known as the Mexicas. Later, the Aztecs. So the modern day Mexico, itong Mexico City ngayon, nung unang panahon, before the Spaniards, ang tawag dito is Aztec. Tenochtitlan became urban center that was larger than European capitals. This is bigger than London, bigger than Berlin, bigger than Barcelona. Kasi ang daming tao at masyadong maunlad. This is dubbed as the Venice of the New World. So this is the map. They have already the map of the Tenochtitlan. Now, saan mahanap ang Aztec Empire? So Tenochtitlan is located here sa Mexico. Sa baba, nandyan ang Maya pati Aztec. Pero naubos na sila by that time, ito lumaganap. Now, the Aztecs ruled their empire by indirect means. Instead of exerting their supreme authority on conquered people, they demanded tribute. Diba? Instead, i-conquer nila yung mga tao at gawing slaves. Instead, nagdidemand lang sila ng tribute. Tribute means, pwede kang magbigay ng kahoy, ng feather, or ng precious stones. Now, cocoa plant, Cacao, saan yan galing? Like the Maya, the Aztec used cocoa plant as currency. So 20 beans a year could support a commoner. Parang gold na yan sa kanila noon. Ginagawa nilang chocolate. A man could sell his daughter as a sacrifice or sex slaves for 500 beans. Imagine, if you have 500 beans, you can buy one person. Pwede kang bumili ng dalaga. Gawin mong sex slave or gawin mong sacrifice sa Diyos. Ganyan ka-precious ang magtanim ng kokwa noon. So beverages, first accounts of chocolate beverages were noted by the Spanish. So sila yung unang gumawa ng sikwate. This is the ancient chocolate beverages, and it was also borrowed by the Visayans. If you have a chance to visit Dumaguete, Cebu, Samar, or Leyte, that Visayan islands, they have this popular drink called sikwate, made from fermented cacao. Now, it's already 10:30. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've learned something. I hope you've learned something from the presentation this morning. Kasi I respect also your next subject. Meron din kaya kayong klase 10:30, no? So, I will continue the whole video. Kahit na wala na tayong klase ngayon, kasi time na, you can watch it from the YouTube channel whom I've asked you to subscribe. Is it clear? Do you have any question before
Yes,
we
sir.
go? Anyway, we still have 5 minutes. Do you have any question? Sige na, it's your time to ask. Kaysa matapos itong session din, you are left hanging. May isa kakapasok lang, kaswerte naman niya, tapos na kami. Do you have any question or ako magtanong? Question? None? O, nanghingog muna si Ana Karenina Ronquillo. Wala na siyang question. So, if you do not have question, I will leave a word of wisdom before we go. According to Albert Einstein, he said, the most dangerous person in the world is the one who knows what is right but still doing what is wrong. Again, the most dangerous person in the world is the one who knows what is right but still doing what is wrong. Alam mo na ang tama pero gagawin mo pa rin ang mali kahit conscious ka mali yun. Napakadelikado mong tao. God bless us all. Thank you for joining. Okay, that's all.
Thank you, sir. God bless.
God bless.
Thank you, sir.